What's going on, people? Welcome to United View and good morning. Welcome to the Morning View. Back across the city of Manchester. Back looking out to the whole city. Back to our superb graphics. You know what I mean? Back in the morning UVHQ. It's a different place. It's a different place, my friends. You know what I'm saying? We say no.
I'm good. Look at this. It's British summertime now. The clocks have gone forward, which has royally messed me up a lot the last couple of days.
It's only 1 hour, but it does a lot.
It got me. And I remember on Sunday, I woke up and I went, I've woke up really late. I went, I must have had a really good sleep. And then I got reminded that the clocks had gone forward. And I went, oh, that makes sense. And now I'm still, because it's quite fresh, I'm at the stage where I keep looking at the clock going, it's not actually. So now I keep looking at it when I go, it's actually 8 o'clock. It's actually it's actually 8 o'clock, and it's not. It's 9. You can see it on the screen. Look, 9:02.
You'd think we'd literally in like a whole different time zone, like not just shifting for an hour forward or back.
Yeah.
I don't remember it taking it that much toll. Maybe it's because I'm getting older, but I literally, like, for me, I couldn't get to sleep last night. I was up till like really late, just for no reason.
It was like 1 o'clock. It was like 1 o'clock, and I was thinking, well, it's midnight. That's why. That's usually my time. Oh, it's ridiculous.
It's only an hour, but anyway, yeah. Big up to everyone.
I was stupid with this. I was messaging Josh at like 12:30, like about generic rock music. I'm not even joking.
Did you just know Josh will be up at them times?
He was. He was. I was going, this sounds great.
Normally, I'm not up at them times, but honestly, I wish you and Josh all the best. Honestly, big up, man. We've got a lot to talk about. The takeover stuff. We know what's happened there in terms of the bids are in. So now we're going into phase 3. That's a little bit later. We're going to talk about Harry Maguire. We didn't really get a chance to cover it over the weekend, but I think it's important that we do. Maguire speaks out, as you can see there at the bottom of the screen. Christian Eriksen recovery, progress on him. Elanga frustration. Also, Bruno burnout. I want to talk a little bit about that. Is Bruno at risk of burnout? We will definitely be talking about that. Completed a hell of a lot of minutes. I think he got like a 15-minute rest in the end. Came off of like 75th minute after playing, I think, 88 minutes in the first game. The guy just keeps going. And actually, it was a bit weird, but all of our central midfielders, maybe apart from Fred, went away and, were scoring goals and doing bits. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But straight to the jump. It's important to talk about this because a load of people were talking about this, and and I know everyone in the community is going to want to do that. Harry Maguire obviously played 2 games for England. England won them both. Italy was a tough game. I watched the first half of the Ukraine game, then I turned it off. What did he say, and what does this mean? What's our thing?
So it's worth pointing out again, like this interview came out over the weekend, and it started off talking about England and why he's picked so often for England, and then sort of translated over into, I guess, Manchester United. And it was starting off about feeling appreciated. So the first bit was, do you feel appreciated for England? And he said, quote, for England, yes, I do feel appreciated, but listen, I've proven myself to Gareth, who works with a wide range of centre-backs. He has the choice of all English centre-backs in the country, and every time I'm available, I've been in the team. I'm sure if you'd ask the rest of the lads, they know what I bring to the team. I'm 30 years old, and this is where it gets into kind of the more controversial elements of this. I'm 30 years old, but I shouldn't really need to prove myself at this level. I've won over 50 caps, and I'm England's top scoring defender. Now, also moved on to Manchester United, saying, quote, I've played nearly 200 times for Manchester United. I've captained the club for 3 years now, but I do also understand that when you are the captain of Manchester United, you do come under the most amount of scrutiny. Last season at club level, my performances weren't good enough alongside everybody else at the club, not just myself. And obviously, people took a lot out of that, talking about I don't need to prove myself. I think the key thing, I think that people maybe took umbrage to, was I don't need to prove myself. And people then, rightfully so, found clips of like the likes of Roy Keane, arguably the most iconic or one of the most iconic Manchester United captains of all time, like doing a training session saying, I have to prove myself every training session. like the complete antithesis of what Maguire said there. And also as well, he's done this a couple of times where he said, I remember before, it's always on the international breaks as well. But he said, like, the last 3 Manchester United managers have picked me or something like that. So I can't be
So it's a running theme, isn't it?
Yeah, so I can't be all that sort of bad. And I would push back. I don't know what you think about this, but I would push back and say, well, okay, you say there you've played nearly 200 times for Manchester United. You've captained the club for 3 years. But okay, people can play for any club for an amount of time. Like, what have you done? You're only as good as your last match too, right? You're only as good as your last match. And what have you been doing recently? And what have you done during that period of time? And it came off once again as another interview where you just go, that's not the right thing to say. That's not the right way to sort of silence. I think in his head, maybe he thinks he's silencing his critics, their fingers in the ears again. And it's not.
I think I've never seen a player consistently kind of get the choice of words wrong. Especially when they have kind of time to build up and kind of prepare. So if you know you're not in the team and you haven't been playing, the likeliness is the next time you speak to a journalist, they're gonna ask you, etc., etc. So for me, his PR team or his people around him or himself should just have that sort of pre-written statement. When someone says to you in this precise moment, and this is, I'll get into like what you said, Owen, about what has he done and why he's in this position, etc. I'm talking about specifically on how we should have handled it, considering the position he's in, because you can be in a bad position, a dodgy period in your career, and the chips are down a little bit, and the confidence is down, and you're not playing very well. You're not playing at all. Footballers can go through that, but it's what you say in the moments to help yourself. And here's what he should have said. He should have said, of course, I'm like every other player. I feel like his PR team. Of course, I'm like every other player, and I'd love to play. However, I'm there when the manager needs me, and there's a lot more to fight for this season. That's all he has to say. That's all he has to say. Something along the lines of that. I'm ready when called upon. Of course, I want to play, because that covers the whole. Okay, you're not happy. You should never be happy at not playing. No professional footballer should, whether you're young, whether you're experienced or indifferent, whether you're captain or not. Nobody should be happy sitting on the bench. Managers always reiterate that. That's fine. Just like any other player, I want to play minutes and I want to help the team. But when called upon by Erik ten Hag, I will be there and ready. I just have to wait my time or something like that. Yeah, that's all he has to say. But like you said there, instantly going back to things that, one, aren't relevant now. Two, making it about himself. I know the question is about himself and they're asking about him. But again, if you're a good captain, I think you find a way to make it about the team. Even if people can read between lines, even if people think, I bet he doesn't really think that. It doesn't matter. People go off what you say. And I think when you say that, I can't be that bad because every manager's been picking me. Well, now you've only made 5 Premier League starts, I think it is, or 6 Premier League starts. That has changed from the last time you said that. It's been a massive gap and you haven't been playing games. So I don't think you get to rely on statements like that. And then, of course, like you said, as soon as you say things like, I shouldn't need to prove myself at this level, I think the problem that you've got then is that exactly that. You're going to get highly decorated players and important people who have all spoken about the need to constantly prove yourself. Why? Because that's what top level football is. You have to do it every single year. Not even just every single game, every single training session, every single week that goes past. Yes, you have to prove yourself. Even Erik ten Hag said when Casemiro came, why do you think he came here? He's won 5 Premier Champions League titles. He came because he needs to prove himself in a different league, in a different environment. If Casemiro feels he needs to come here and prove himself, a serial winner for his whole career. If Roy Keane said, like you said back in the day, you have to prove yourself. How can Harry Maguire say he doesn't need to? And again, it's the choice of words, and what that is. It comes across like you think you're better than you are, and I've got no problem with believing in your ability, but that comes across sort of obnoxious. It comes across sort of manager don't know what he's doing. And again, even if we were playing badly, and he said this in public, right? Say Varane and Martinez had a terrible record together, so we were losing games, they were conceding loads of goals, and there was no progress in that area of the pitch, right? Even if that was the case, he still shouldn't come out and undermine the manager and the team, for the greater good of himself, especially as Man United captain. That's when your job is to protect the team, the establishment. Yes, your job is to speak strongly. Yes, your job is to be in the limelight when everything's going well and, or you are playing games, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, the spotlight's on you. You're the most important player at the club, hence why you're the captain. But when even if the team was doing poorly and he wasn't playing, he still wasn't right to say what he said in public. Especially, you don't get to say it when the team's actually doing good.
Yeah,
in that area.
yeah. It's just like I said, I find it's somewhat remarkable how the majority of the time he does the interviews, he can find the way of saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. And every time I speak about Harry Maguire, I think it's important to keep it to football. I mean, people, social media is what they do. They overstep the line, don't they? And they make it personal, and they start throwing, jibes at him about, oh, you fridge, blah, 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 and whatever. Leave that to one side. But when, again, you're talking about the cold, hard facts at the moment, and he's not playing games. He's on the bench. And that's because when we have seen him play this season, it's very clear he doesn't fit. Like, he cannot do to the highest level what his manager wants him to do. He doesn't have any recovery pace. I know Manchester United play a deeper line than others. Ideally, Erik ten Hag wants to play a higher line. But even in cases, I remember when we were playing Real Betis away just a couple of weeks ago, someone lost the ball in the midfield. Ball went through. Maguire suddenly chasing this guy. Oh my goodness me! He's running through treacle, and that's not the first time that's happened to him this season. Old Trafford, when we were playing Fulham in the FA Cup, Old Trafford was starting to get onto him because
that foul he made on Mitrovic. Remember where he just
Mitrovic running to the corner flag. He's not even going anywhere, and he does that as well. He gets involved with the wrestle, but it was more so in the build-up play.
I could overread that one, yeah.
In the build-up play. He was doing the thing where he carries the ball forward a little bit under no pressure, under no press, and then he stops, and then he points, and he starts, telling people to move around or starting to run. And Old Trafford was getting onto him, saying, don't take 10 touches, take 2, get it out your feet. And if there's nothing on, like what Alessandro Martinez would do, say, there's nothing on, I'm going to keep going. I'm just going to keep going until something, I'm going to force it. I'm going to make something happen.
Yeah, he doesn't have that
I'm going to keep the pace. I'm going to keep the pace going. And he can't. And sometimes I've watched Maguire and I feel legitimately, and this isn't even patronizing, I feel bad for him because I just go, man, he just can't do it. He just cannot do this style. And I understand, honestly, and you've got to, as an elite sportsman, as an elite athlete, of course, you've got to back yourself and you've got to believe in your own ability and you've got to tell yourself that you're this, you're that, you're the best, but not at the point of, sort of delusion, really, when he's sort of getting into, when you start pointing to things that you've done, and realistically, they're not massive things. They're playing games.
Exactly.
They're playing. If in that 200 games, you'd won the league, you'd won the FA Cup, you'd won the Champions League, the Europa League.
Exactly.
You'd say, wow, look, that's not a bad one to point to. That's like with the Ronaldo thing, right? When they talk about that and they point to all he's won, you go, well,
I was just about to say the only players you can say they don't need to prove anything. And don't get me wrong, people like Benzema and Modric and Cruz and those players kind of fall into this, but like our serial winners, because really and truly, the statement can be true of some people. Some players don't need to have to prove anything to anyone because they've been there and done it all.
Yeah,
you've clocked the level. So if you've clocked football, i.e., there's nothing left to achieve, you can say you don't have to prove anything to anyone. However, you can reverse that comment and say, well, actually, with all the greatest respect in the world to the GOATs, there are parts that you still do need to keep proving, because actually when you hit a certain age, the question then becomes, can you keep doing it? Yeah. How long can you go on for? Look, Messi's the GOAT of GOATs, yeah, let's say, but he's just won the World Cup, yeah, and he's done everything. So the question is, do you want to keep going? Like, can he? He's like, yeah, I can still do it. I'm still challenging myself. I'm going to keep going. Whether Ronaldo, same thing. Benzema, Modric's on a 1 year plus, because you have to keep proving it. You don't just get a 5-year deal when you're 35 because you don't know. We have to see that you can do it. So even for and this is the creme de la creme of worldies. Do you know what I mean? Like the biggest players you can think of on the planet. Yeah, that still have to prove themselves. I just don't think. I don't think you get to say, especially like you said, with what he has been doing with his own performances, you just don't get to say that. I don't think you should say that. And I know someone said there, we're going more on his choice of words were wrong when actually it's both. Do you know what I mean? His choice of words and he's just not good enough. It's a double whammy. But I just think I agree. Like Owen basically just covered it perfectly about why he's not good enough to play this style and stuff like that. So, we all know that. That's why I was focusing more on the words, because I think we all understand and we all know what Eric Ten Hag wants from his centre backs versus what Harry Maguire can give or has given for Eric Ten Hag. But when you're in that position, that's what my biggest gripe is then it comes down to your choice of words. We all know what your ability is. We all know that. Eric Ten Hag knows it, and that's why he's made his decision to go with Martinez and Varane. And we literally said at the World Cup exactly what would happen, didn't we? And it was happening even before it. We said he'll go and play in the World Cup. That won't change Eric Ten Hag's mind one bit. He'll come back, continue to be on the bench, be a bit of a stocking filler, fill in a game or two here when Varane needs a rest, or come on for the last 10 minutes to see out a game. That's been his season. As soon as we changed it from Brentford, he's never won his place back. Let's face it. He's the games that he started. So he started the first 2 games. So he's only started, 5 or 6 games this year in the Premier League?
Like that. Yeah.
So, and 2 of them were the first 2 where we lost. So really, it's only like 3, 4 games max he started in the Prem. Out of how many have we played now? 20. I don't even know the exact number we've played in the league.
Something like, there's only like 10 left, really.
Right, exactly. So it's probably played about 28, 26, 27 games, maybe 28, yeah. And he's only started a maximum of 5. And 2 of them was before we changed it all around. I just think you don't get to say that, man. And I think his choice of words actually in this scenario, forget the ability, because ability can be one thing in the situation he's in. I think the biggest criticism for me is the choice of words, because I just think what you have proved. He's literally proved the opposite of what he said. He's proved that he still has to prove it to everyone then, because he's the one who believes it, so he has to prove it.
Well, and
we know that that's not going to happen here.
But even if you're going to go down the route of it's a poor choice of words, it does reflect a poor mentality. Because if you mean what you say, I mean, if there's anyone, like to your point, if there's anyone who needs to prove himself, it would be him. I know he had nothing to do with his price tag, but the moment you're signed for £80 million, you have to prove yourself every single week. The moment you're announced as the Manchester United captain, you have to prove yourself every single week. The moment you sign for United, and this is kind of the problem over the years, isn't it? Is there's a certain group of players, isn't there? There's one group where they sign for Manchester United, and for them, that's the beginning. They get to the promised land, and they're going to get better, are going to achieve more. They want to get better. But there is this group of players, and maybe Maguire's in this group, whereby signing for Manchester United, just playing is enough. I've got there. I've got because for someone like him, he's gone up the levels and he's had relegations and he's played for smaller clubs, and they get there. Finally, I'm here. I'm at Manchester United. Then he becomes the captain. He's like, right, I've made it. And just getting to that point, just getting to the big club, just getting to the table, if you will, that's not enough. You want to eat. You want to feast. You want to win things. Just playing at United is nowhere near enough, because plenty of people at United have come and gone. To my point earlier on, plenty of people have come to United and played games and can say, I played this amount of games for Manchester United. Okay, what have you got to show for it? What have you done for it? What legacy did you carve out for yourself? So the notion that he doesn't need to prove himself because he's already got to this level, it just flies in the face of any sort of sporting mentality or attitude, really. And again, if anyone had to prove himself, it would be him, a guy which he openly admits is under more scrutiny than maybe others because he's the captain.
Exactly.
And as if you're a player, if I'm a player in his team and I see my captain say words like that, oh, I don't need to prove myself, I'm thinking, what kind of leader is that? Like, what kind of leadership is that? I need a captain. I need a leader that if he's not even verbalizing it to me, is showing it in terms of his performances. He's always playing with a point to prove, or he's always, always trying to G up the players or leading by example. That kind of language is not leadership language. I've already done it. Don't worry about it.
Exactly. Thankfully true with the Roberts family. Says everyone's favorite supervillain, Harry Maguire. He's everyone's favorite supervillain. If you're being constantly asked these questions, surely you would defend yourself. I don't know if you've just joined thankfully true. Big up to you. That's what I was talking about kind of about 5 minutes ago, that I get the fact that you say he's under pressure. I get the fact that he has to say something, and I literally carved out what he should have said. You can defend yourself, but there's a way of doing it. Everybody knows that as a footballer, like Owen said, you should believe in yourself, no problem. If he came out and said, maybe I don't belong at this level and I need to reevaluate.
You'd be like,
you're like, oh, bloody hell, where's your winnings mentality? understandable. You don't go out and say that. But what you don't do is make it about yourself. And essentially what he's telling Eric Ten Hag, this is a new manager, by the way. This is a new manager. Let's get it straight. This is a new manager who hasn't been at the club a year yet, right? And this is a new manager who is trying to find out who fits where and where he wants to go with this team, who he wants to buy next, doing great things, won our first trophy at the first time of asking, etc., etc. This is a new manager. And you're saying you don't need to prove it to a new manager. Like, think about the logic of that. Like, when there's a new person who walks through the door, you absolutely need to. That's literally the opposite of what you're saying. You all need to do it. Marcus Rashford just had the worst season of his whole entire life.
Yeah.
Of his whole entire, short career so far. But of his whole career, he had some horrible, horrible, horrible times last year where it looked like he potentially could have left this football club. And you know what he did? He said, you know what? I need to prove this to myself, first of all.
Yeah.
I need to prove this to myself, first of all. And clearly, I need to prove it to the new manager, etc., etc. I need to do this. I need to do this. Because if I don't, my career is at stake. And with that elite mentality, he was able to knuckle down and start proving his critics wrong, but more importantly, proving to himself that he belongs at that level and making it, difficult for the manager not to pick him, i.e. now he has to play every game. Luke Shaw, same sort of thing, come off the back of a horrendous season like everybody else did, settled down, started to get himself together and prove it. Wan-Bissaka don't even say anything. He doesn't even talk, even when he's happy. But, he's been through being starting number one right back, under Ollie, getting everything he needs to get, wow, Spider One. And then he's gone for a period where we're like, we've got a manager who wants to play football now. Wan-Bissaka's going to be toast. Nah, that's it. Look, he's playing Dallo every game now. He literally needed to reprove himself. He up until the World Cup wasn't playing. Up until the World Cup wasn't part of anything. And then he comes back, sorts himself out, proves himself. So you always need to prove yourself. I don't know if I'm moving mad here.
It was an excellent speech, and I think we saw it slow motion and then fast forward several times. It was excellent to see. But
it's a bit of a disgrace and cheat this morning. The UV studio has been a bit of a disgrace and cheat. Our internet connections are good, but it's a bit of a disgrace and cheat.
If you saw which one was it the other day? We did a show the other day, and it was a similar thing. Basically, Flex's laptop hates him. That's the issue currently at the moment. But yes, we got some super chats as well, Flex. I'll read them if it helps.
Yes,
out.
you do it. Yeah.
Amanor says, Owen, I wonder if Maguire can be a squad player. He basically already is at the moment. Amanor, I would say. I think the consensus will be is that the role he wants for himself moving forward, or does he want to move in the summer? And I think most people feel like, I don't know if you agree with me, Flex, that that's the direction that it's heading in come the summer, right?
We called it from ages ago, didn't we? We called it from ages ago that he's not going to be able to keep up this level of not playing. He will get to the end and say what's going on.
Because when he gets on international duty, he gets asked these questions. What's going on?
And Ten Hag won't be happy. Yeah, Ten Hag won't be happy with that as well.
Exactly.
I don't need to prove myself. Can you imagine Eric Ten Hag reiterating that?
Well, imagine what he says. Eric Ten Hag this season, what has he said time and time again? Good is not good enough. Yeah. And you've got Maguire coming out and then you basically saying good's good enough.
Yeah.
I've already done it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Fine. It's the opposite. Micron's been a member for 7 months. Appreciate 7 months of support. Says he's saying he's good, but Eric Ten Hag won't like that because good ain't good enough. Mina said it as well on Red Room, always gassing himself unnecessarily. Lil Yo-Yo, one of the mods, also has been a member for 7 months. Says I'm glad journalists are calling out Maguire. His team ain't keep it real. It's like he's got to tell everyone he's got cojones when it's not relevant. Yes, always back in it. Again, it's not the first time he has said stuff like this. Caramel with a super chat says, I really like his self-centered attitude. He's the type of player who will bring up the Liverpool 7-0 in his own defense, i.e. I wasn't playing. Imagine. I wasn't playing that one. I wasn't playing that one. I did see him say something similar.
Look how much we've won since I've been playing. Mate,
he said, I saw that. I saw them going, well, the last few games I've played, we've won. So, and the thing is, that is such like, you do that when you're a kid, don't you? Well, the last
Yeah,
few times
yeah.
I played, we played really well.
Mate,
So
it sounds like me
know,
being passive aggressive to you.
yeah,
And
Jurgen Fleck.
well, when I touch this part, yeah, but what about all the other times when you can't just under, and I'm kind of doing myself a bit of disservice here, throwing myself under the bus for the greater good. But it's true, you can't do that. And also, especially when like that hasn't been a consistent run, like so you started against I remember when he started against Leeds away, remember we were all a little bit like,
Yeah.
I don't know about this. And he didn't do great, did he? But we managed to win the game.
No.
So that's one in his portfolio. We can go, played, kept a clean sheet, mate. Don't know what you're talking about. Tough place to go, that Ellen Road derby.
It's like a
rival
false
game.
It's like
went there.
it's like a falseness, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you sort of go, you remember,
There's been a few of them.
remember under Ollie where it'd be like that, where you'd win a game and people would point to you, but we won the game. So it doesn't matter. We won the game.
Yeah.
And you go, yeah, but if you look at actually what happened during the game, it could have gone the other way very, very, very easily and very differently. And Lil Yo also says Maggie Cube over Maguire. So is that a reference you understand? Because I don't understand the reference.
Maggie
Cube. Do you understand the reference, Josh?
No.
I don't. Maggie Cube?
I don't know. I'm not sure about that one. I'm not sure. But big up. Maybe someone could put in the chat. Maybe me and Owen, it's too early for us.
Explain your workings.
Yeah. Amir says Maguire talks like Julian after an Arsenal loss. Yeah. Yeah. Big up Julian.
Mate, I saw Julian talking about the Champions League 1 important the other day.
So Maggie cubes, the seasoning. Oh yeah, I've got the Maggie sauces, but I don't use the cubes. But yeah.
It's seasoning. Well then, I definitely don't understand.
I don't use the cubes. I use the sauce, but yeah, and the sachets. But yeah, go on. Sorry, carry on.
I saw Julian the other day talking that the league's more important than the Champions League to Arsenal, right?
Yeah,
it's very easy to say that when you've never won the Champions League. Yeah, you go, who cares about the Champions League? You would, okay, if you even won it once, but you haven't, okay.
That was funny.
Apparently, the thing people want to win the most in Europe is the Premier League, even if you're not actually playing in England or from England. People in Serie A want to win the Premier League.
Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you just joined us, have your say on Harry Maguire. I will finish off by saying the club have been, they've been left to kind of pick up his mess, to try and flip the narrative. I saw that they posted yesterday 2 games. I can't remember the exact quote, but 2 games, 2 wins. Well done, Harry Maguire, or something, with 2 pictures of him. Clearly in response to the heat and what he said. I just think that in that moment that it'll be more like, oh, Harry, why did you have to? Now we've got to go and, because at the end of the day, that's their job. Club PR is a real job for people in social media teams across all football clubs. And you've got to protect your players, haven't you? But when they go and do stupid things like that, it just makes it so difficult. So difficult.
And Ten Hag's going to be asked about it now. Next press conference,
exactly.
He'll be saying, like,
does Harry Maguire have something to? And the hardest thing now is, it's not really hard because people will say, Ten Hag don't give a shit, say it as it is, which he probably will still. He'll stick to his principles. He won't bend for anyone. But when they say Harry Maguire's, said he doesn't have to prove himself, he is still Manchester United captain. Does he still need to? Eric, does Harry Maguire still need to prove himself?
Simon Stubbs. Eric, I hope you had a good international break. Harry, you've probably seen Maguire's comments about proving himself. How does that make you feel?
And Eric's going to say, it's clear, huh?
It's clear, right?
We have to prove ourselves every day, huh? Every day I come to Carrington, I have to prove myself, eh? The players, they have to prove themselves, eh? The chef, the grounds, when you do the grass every day, eh? He must prove every day.
Sometimes he starts with a big
yeah. It's clear. It's clear, eh?
It's clear, eh? Harry's a wonderful player. He's a good player. He's captain. Yeah.
but it's so true though. He's gonna say that. He's gonna say every day I have to. He would talk about himself. He would take it off Maguire and say, "Well, I have to prove myself every day." Rai says, "Why does Eric sound like DMX?" But you know, he's true though, but you're right. What this now does is make this part of the next. I'll be stunned if one of the journos don't ask him that. Harry Maguire's recent comments, or Luckcast. Hi, Eric. Harry Maguire's recent comments. Do you know what I mean? Is that something you're looking for, or you know what I mean? Like that. That's just that's what's going to be asked, and Eric's now going to have to go. He's going to have to address that, where he either goes against what Harry Maguire says, which is true, because if that means he's compromising his principles if he doesn't say we have to prove ourselves all the time or everyone needs to do it. You know, that's weird if he doesn't. But at the same time, he won't want to throw him under the bus even more and put more heat, because that's just not what it is. That's not what they want to do. Sorry, they want to try and undo that and keep the press positive. And then, so what can he say though? Harry's right. He doesn't. No, all he will say is Harry is a good player. He's played a lot of games for Manchester United. He's our captain. You'll probably just back him in public. To be
Maybe you get the Jamie Jackson short question.
Yeah,
laid back in the chair. Like,
yeah.
Did Harry Maguire piss you off?
Big up Jamie. Jamie Jackson's my guy, man.
He is. Mate, you telling me about his running schedule? That is
insane. Yeah. He wakes up like 5 a.m. every day. Goes on his runs and that. Even when we're away, like so when all the journalists are away and stuff like that. Whether it's European tours or you know what I mean, pre-season tours, whatever. Up, mate, crack of dawn. I take James Cooper was the same as well. Maybe it's a journal thing. James Cooper, my guy, James Cooper, man, what a guy when he was at Sky. Again, wake up super early and hit the
pavement,
hit the pavement. Yeah, exactly, or the beach or wherever. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, there you go. Smash the like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Before we move on, Mark says, TikTok Harry, your time is running out. I think we've read all the super chats now as well. Moving on to a little bit of a takeover update. I mean, it was a fairly quiet over the weekend. We knew that Sheikh Jassim's second bid had gone on, and Thomas Iliakis just kind of doing his round of interviews, just talking to everybody, as you do. But now we're kind of in the third phase now, aren't we?
We are in the third phase, which is essentially this week, where I guess people will hopefully hear back from Manchester United and Rain regarding the bids that went in. At the time at which the bids went in, was it Wednesday? Where it was meant to go in Wednesday. They said that they would hear back from them in 7 days, but I don't know if that's now been extended or changed, considering that, for instance, Ineos's bid went in on Thursday and Sheikh Jassim's bid went in overnight, Friday into Saturday. So we might not hear anything, I suppose, until this coming weekend. That might be the possibility. But hopefully we get into phase 3. There is a general feeling, isn't there, that it's going to enter into a round 3 of bidding. So more meetings, more negotiations. Bids have reportedly not been to the asking price of what the Glazers are looking for. There were some really interesting stories around going at the weekend, Flex. I don't know if you saw, basically saying that I believe it was Avram Glazer really doesn't want to sell. And his whole thing is that he's just exploring it to see hypothetically what they could get. Joel Glazer doesn't really want to sell, but he would be open to selling for the right price. And then the rest of the Glazer family do really want to sell. The rest of the siblings want to sell. And you go, this is such a mess. This is such a Succession style, like Game of Thrones.
If that's true, if that's
true, don't believe everything you read. Well done, Fleck. But all of it,
all of
it is just, it's all just very much a mess, isn't it? You just go, oh my goodness me. Ziliakis, I saw him talking about it. I saw someone call him Siliakis the other day, which I thought was humorous. Because at the same time, if he's put a bid in and he's had access to all of this financial information, this detailed data, how is he doing interviews? I thought there were NDAs involved. So either he's flagrantly breaking these NDAs or it's not real. So I don't know. I just...
Yeah, or he's got some special, which is the least likely. He's got some special arrangement where he's like, part of my bid is that I'm allowed to, sort of, I don't have to sign any NDAs. I want to be free to kind of talk, It's just not how it works. I find it outstanding. Again, you've reiterated it a couple of times of like fair play to the guy's sentiment. The guy's sentiment of, fans being at the notion of trying to get the ideology that I think is what you said. Fine. Yeah, cool. It's nice to think along those lines, but execution is everything. And everything that every bit about his bid that he wants to do. Then, like we spoke about last time, throwing the other owners under the bus. The other bidders under the bus. Then trying to, snitching on them that they didn't pick up the phone to you because you wanted to join their team after he was cussing them out. Like, then doing more rounds of interviews. He sounds like he's about to release an album. Like he sounds like a rapper or a singer or an artist, who's like, Atlantic Records are like, right, promo run for the new album. Album's dropping on the 31st of March. You're gonna be on Hot 97.
Yeah.
You're gonna be on Breakfast Club. You're gonna come over to England. You're gonna go on Capulet Extra, One Extra. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're gonna do this. You're gonna do that. That's what it seems like. It seems like a press run, and I'm like, come on, man. That to me. The people at the top of the chains who are going to buy football clubs don't do the most like that. However, I will say, in the interest of just looking at things across the board, Sir Jim Ratcliffe did do an interview with Wall Street Journal, though, to be fair.
Was that interview properly on the record, or was that one of those ones where it's yeah, I mean,
I thought it was quotes. I did think it was.
They were, they were quote the whole. How much does it cost to buy a painting? Was that from a definitive interview, or was that things that he had potentially said in the? I don't know.
Yeah,
that's my point.
True.
It's just
what we do,
even with that, it's not as blatant, is it? It's not as blatant, like all that kind of stuff. And he can kind of manipulate it whereby such it's people from within Ineos say it, even though Ineos are actually on the bid. Stuff like that. There's ways to get round NDAs as opposed to just going on Sky Sports News and just chatting about it. And also at the same time, to your point as well, and don't get me wrong, as I've said before, I actually really appreciate the sentiment of what he's trying to do with it and the idea of having fan involved and fan ownership. I'm totally not against that. Obviously, it does work in other countries around Europe and around the world. But at the same time, when he's talking about, I'm going to put in this amount of money, the fans are going to pay for the rest. And you go, well, why would the Glazers accept that? They want the cash up front. They're still haggling over to get to 6 billion now. Let alone if you came.
He's doing it. Put the money where your mouth is. And look, someone like Simon Jordan, right, would take this to town because he was going. You get these Manchester United fans, vociferous Manchester United fans, who
it's fabricated and it's completely
it's fabricated. it's gormless, absolute Berks. But put your money where your mouth is. If you've got the best part of 3 million quid fans, you've got fans who want a bit of football pie. It's not a problem.
These vociferous Manchester United supporters, vociferous fans.
They've been moaning about the Glazers, since 2005. We've leveraged debt. Now, Manchester United have leveraged debt. Barcelona have leveraged debt, and they're nowhere near it. Absolutely nowhere near it. Now, here's the thing: you can bark about it all you want from your God Almighty, High Almighty Golden Tree. At the top of it, yelling to the hills far and far away. Jack and Jill used to walk on, but put your money where your mouth is. What is it? That's what he'd be on, because he was saying, look, fans are moaning, and basically this guy's come in and said, fans, put your money where your mouth is. If you want to buy Man United, you lot can all buy in. It sounds like he's just trying to prove that. Do you know what I mean? I just don't get it. I don't get it.
He's a multimillionaire. The app that he was saying about, to get 3 billion would have to be the most downloaded or one of the most active apps in the world. I mean, we're talking akin to Facebook and Instagram, owned by Meta. And to be honest, they're only at that many, billion active users. How long have they been around? 15 years at this point. It takes time. It's going to be a lost leader. So let's fly.
Yeah. Oh, you got
a fly just landed on my nose. I don't know if you saw that live, guys.
I didn't see it.
It probably thought I was dead or whatever. It thinks I'm a corpse.
Honestly, funny things do happen to you a lot. Like you clip things up and get people, but the best thing about you is that you don't get life finds a way to get you, because it does it. It does it in the moment. It knows that people can't do the receipt thing how you do it and pull things, but in the moment when you're live, life goes right. Owen,
do you know what it is? This fly's been here all morning and it's been bothering me, and I thought, if you come near me, you fly or whatever. I've been trying to sort of off camera swat, and it landed on my nose.
Yeah, because he thought, who are you?
Someone said, and you do have the complexion of Paul Bearer. So basically, I do look like a corpse.
Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'm going to talk about a bit of a 2-in-1 in this bit. Eriksen recovery and also Bruno burnout, and a little bit about our midfield in general. Eriksen recovery is going really well. It was a great post that he put up when he sort of went from the boot to the trainers, which were brilliant trainers, by the way, Nike Air Max 1 Pata. Really rare. I have to add them to the collection. Actually, I haven't got any of them that series yet. The Patas. But anyway, even Gareth Southgate was wearing them the other day. Maybe that's the reason not to wear them. But yeah, but they are big boy trainers. Anyway, to the boots, the mercurial vapors. But he's back on the grass. And this 2 weeks probably come at a perfect time. He was joking how there's just absolutely no one around Carrington.
Yeah, it's empty.
He said it's empty. There's a few people, of course, but it's really empty. But that's good. Empty. Get him on the grass. Get him working. That's giving him 2 extra weeks while the team aren't playing games for him to get better. And I don't know. Could we see him? I mean, it's the beginning of this week. Could we see him in team training by the end of the week? Is the question. I don't know. Maybe that might be a bit too soon, but at least he's well on the way back, for the real business end of the season.
Well, what was the initial sort of prognosis for when he was going to be back?
It was like April.
It was sort of end of April. They were saying end of April, beginning of May, weren't they? So if he's back on the grass now, again, you don't want to rush him back. You'd maybe
say a couple of weeks on that.
A couple of weeks. You maybe say mid-April, something like that. That would be that'd be pretty good going. And there'll still be games to play at that point. Important games too. I mean, real business end games. Talking semi-finals and of the FA Cup and possibly even last stages of the Europa League, as well as the Premier League games. Which, make no mistake, we've got some really important Premier League games coming up. Particularly,
we have to win them. We've really got to win them. Actually, and we need it's the 6 point of really. I mean, we can afford to draw to Newcastle, but where the meat on the bone really needs to come from Brentford and Everton at home. We have to win 6 points minimum, and then Forest away. Have to win that.
If we got to play Spurs away as well, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. But straight after the next game after that is Chelsea's postponed. Brighton semi-final. Yeah, then it's Spurs away. So I'm saying, and this is a bit off topic since you brought it up. Newcastle, obviously, you could say have to. If you win that, then we're well on our way. But I just think that's going to be a really tough game.
Spurs away under the new what's his name? Stellini's who started off well, because I said last night, I put in a little group chat, I said, he wins games. Then
false narrative, mate. Weren't great.
Last 2, he lost against Sheffield United and lost against Wolves.
Yeah, exactly. They were just the same under him. They weren't no different.
So it's gonna be really interesting. It's gonna be really interesting.
Get to stay? That is awful, by the way.
It's gonna be really interesting to see if they just now completely collapse. Because we've seen it last season. Sometimes they set the manager and they go, caretaker, interim in, and it just completely crumbles apart. Or we've seen the opposite, of course, at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, where it comes in and it's like, they play great. I still don't think they'll get the top 4. And you know what's great too is it just appears now that the best way to get out of a job, whether it's a football player or a football manager, is just go batshit in the media.
Of course, because you leave the club no choice.
Antonio Conte.
Yeah, it's the most foolproof thing. You can't stay if you do that. You can't stay. You can't. It's the history of the Tottenham. You can't.
Foolproof. You just go crazy.
Over. You cannot. You have to sack me if I do that.
Yeah.
You have to. There's no way back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So people who do that, it's literally the most, effective way of getting the exit that you want. Do you think Conte cares that his legacy is a bit tainted because he went to the Tottenham and didn't win? No.
This is the story of the Tottenham.
Yeah.
They lose. They lose us.
Oh, is that going to go down? So where is that? Where does that rank in the Premier League? Just off topic for some fun. Where does that rank in the Premier League history of rants?
The rants
of press, and just not even just rants, iconic moments in the pressers.
So you've got obviously Conte, you've got Rafa, fact.
Yeah.
You've got Kevin Keegan. Wasn't really press conference, an interview after the game.
No.
I'll love it.
Yeah.
Love it if we beat them. What other press conferences have?
You've got good? Jose's. You got Jose's one of Sevilla.
Well, there was the respect when he lost the game and he starts doing three. They have 3. No, I have 3. They have 1. Respect. Respect.
And another Jose one where he done a severe one. Football heritage.
This is football heritage.
Manchester United, 2017, 2018, group stage.
Yeah.
Manchester United, 2018, 2019, out. Sevilla. This is football heritage. That was iconic as well.
I tell you what, there was a Louis van Gaal one around Christmas time when he says,
Jesus.
here's the wine, have a mince pie, I wish you Merry Christmas, and then he just leaves. After like 30 seconds. I said, you've already sacked me. You've sacked me. So, I have mince pie, some wine, happy Christmas.
Yeah. Jose was Jose is the king of the press.
The worst thing is 3 of them are United ones.
That's what I mean.
Recent.
Obviously Thingy had a lot of funny ones as well. Ranieri had his time of they were more fun.
Dilly ding, dilly dong, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's the meltdown. It's the meltdown ones. They're the best ones, really, aren't they? When they've just completely had enough or whatever.
Yeah, Pep's had some blinders as well. Pep's had some blinders, but it's normal for him. He does them quite a lot. Just
Conte
like
had one last season. Remember?
After Burnley.
Burnley. Maybe I shouldn't be here. Maybe I can't do it. Maybe they should sack me now. Maybe I should just go. And then he got top 4.
Passive aggressive flex.
Yeah,
shut the whole thing down.
Proper. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe that's why we didn't win, because I'm crap.
Conte left us as an absolute gem. Then he just dipped.
Casey says specialist in failure. Yeah, Mourinho when he just completely buried.
Yeah, that was Wenger, innit? Yeah. I tell you who else he buried as well. Failure. Yeah, there was like because Frank de Boer had something to say about him. He goes, and if the players, if they learn from Frank de Boer, they will learn how to lose.
Yeah, I think he's the worst manager ever in Premier League history.
Ian Holloway, people have put him up there. He's always said mad stuff.
Ian Holloway. There was loads of Ian Holloway ones. It's wrong. Mr. Blatter. That's what we went. Mr. Blatter. Mr. Blatter. It's wrong. He's talking about Wayne Rooney and the contract extension, isn't it? Mr. Rudy. Mr. Blatter. It's wrong.
And Neil Warnock, he's had his times as well.
Yeah.
Mick McCarthy's had a few. Oh, mate, that was funny.
That's the one accent I can do. I can do like
you're from there.
It's around it's near my area, so I can do that. Mr. Blatter, it's wrong. Who are you? It's ruining the game.
Oh my God, Ian Holloway, what a legend, man. PS says, speaking of Eriksen, did you guys see any of his fellow countrymen? Ramos Højlund.
You've been doing your research, haven't you, Fleck?
Yeah, he is hyped as the Danish Haaland, and said he supports United. I've done a little bit of research, as you do when Twitter starts suggesting this is the new guy. Look, he looks okay. It's very hard to say.
Is it? It is hard to say. It's so hard. It's so hard to say for Fleck that he doesn't want to say it. He's not going to say it. Oh, he might be back. That's the question.
I'm back. Am I back?
It was perfect.
I know.
It was perfect. It might be hard to say, so you just didn't say it.
Do you know what? Because I was laughing so much, I actually did knock the cable out the hardwire thing out the thing. Wow. Sorry, you made me laugh at the Ian Holloway thing. I kicked it with my foot and it came out, and I was like, "Where have I gone? What's going on?" Basically, I don't want to say he's not. He definitely isn't the guy. He looks good. He looks quick. I'm not going to go down that shades of Haaland thing, this, that, and the other. I've watched a few clips and read up a little bit about him because obviously he's starting to make some noise. Then obviously when he changes his agent like he has and speaks about, Ronaldo he followed Ronaldo to Madrid from Man United. I looked up to him. He's my idol, etc. You get all the buzzwords, and we're looking for a striker. What do you get? Transfer saga. It just comes together at the right point. So look, the kid looks good though. The kid looks good. But he's at Atalanta now. He's doing all right. We'll keep an eye on it, I suppose.
Yeah.
I think that's it. It's as simple as that, isn't it? Simple as that.
Yeah.
Not really much else to add. Just quickly before we go to a little bit of Elanga frustration and close out the show. Bruno burnout. Is that a thing, or it's just Bruno playing loads of games like he always does? That's pretty much his career. Hard touchwood. Fleck, yeah. Well, obviously, I've spoke to Bruno loads and touched Bruno loads. He's never got injured, but it's a normal Bruno thing.
Just plays all the games. When it's going to strike. Okay, first.
Yeah. So now when it strikes, it's going to go back to the whole times from before.
Yeah, some things can lay dormant for ages. You can have a verruca on your foot forever. You don't know when it's going to.
I'm saying, this is the bullshit. This is the thing I don't like, though.
I don't like your connection. That's what I don't like.
Well, yours ain't been too great as well. You look like
Roblox. Mine's fine. Mine's fine. It's you. It's just you. Don't blame me.
No. You see, yeah, and earlier on, you was looking like Roblox. You see
that audience. I say I don't like your connection. Immediately blames mine when it's fine. Throw me under the bus. Flex Maguire. Look at him. Now he's gone again. Yeah, yeah. You do have that look on your face.
Maguire.
You should have that look. You should have that look on your face.
That's terrible. He's not making it about a team. He's not making it about a team. He's making it about just me going at his teammates, doing a Maguire. He's supposed to be one of the leaders of this ship.
Wasser said, "Did Flex touch the router?" Maybe.
I'm back now. Maybe it'll be your turn after this to go rubbish.
The Bruno burnout thing, I will say, it obviously is a concern, but you're not going to tell him. He's not going to stop playing games. He's played the most games out of anyone in Europe at the moment, in all of the leagues. And that's because I'm sure every single time they ask him how you're feeling, it's great. I'm feeling great. I'll play.
Yeah. And actually, you know what? Yeah, there is this. Look, obviously, squad management and players, the demand on players these days, and they play too much games, etc., etc. But the old school side of it, though, and I do see this. They are very, very fit players, man. And you know what? When you're in your groove and you're playing every 3 or 4 days, sometimes it's the best position to be in because your lows aren't too low because you get the chance to put it right straight away. And when you're in your groove, the games just keep coming and coming and coming, and you can just keep racking up them games, keep racking up goals, assists, goal involvements. Just keep doing what you want to do, which is play football. Yeah. So I don't, especially if your body proves it can cope with it. Like Bruno's a serial, player. Do you know what I mean? He's a serial 90-minute man. He's proved it over long periods that he doesn't break down a lot. The only time he's been out this year is through suspensions. How crazy is that?
Yeah, and when he was missing, we did miss him.
We missed him straight away. We were like,
against Aston Villa, afterwards we went, about Bruno's running around and his pressing. We really missed it. I remember because Donny played that game, but it wasn't a slight against Donny. It was just when he's not there, you notice. You really do. So,
exactly. And I think, and obviously, the jury's obviously out on Bruno a lot. And some people, not jury, but, sometimes there's a big conversation about him, about how he plays and what he does and et cetera, et cetera. But, one thing that we say is in this current squad, if he ain't there, no one's impacting the game like he does on a consistent basis. Has he got things he can touch up on and brush up on the way he keeps the ball, et cetera, et cetera. But also, Eric Ten Hag showed his hand that he embraces all of Bruno. He embraces absolutely all of him. And he's happy to make a team behind him that can allow him to go and do what he needs to do. Hence why he signed people like Casemiro and Eriksen, now Sabitzer, players that can help us, control the game. And we still need more. We still need more types of midfielders. We still need another player who can do that. We need basically a young version of Christian Eriksen who's even better than that or can do that at a more consistent level. And help us control games. That's what we need. So, and that's what we'll be in the market for. I'm pretty sure of it. And lastly, a little bit of Elanga, my son, Anthony. A little bit of frustration from him, which is obviously understandable. He's not playing games. He started 6 games this year as well.
Yeah, so he was asked while he was on international duty with Sweden, talking about his lack of game time this season. And he said, it is frustrating. You want to play. It is important. But if you don't play, it's not up to me, but up to the coach. I've spoken to Eric and it is private between the two of us. I know he wants what he wants me to do, and I can just keep training hard. When the opportunity comes, I just have to be ready for it. We have a lot of dialogue, not only about it, but also what is happening around. That's the good thing about the club. We talk a lot and they help me a lot.
Harry Maguire, take note. If Harry Maguire would have said that, it would have been fine. I've spoken to Eric. I know what he wants from me. I'll be ready. Of course, it's frustrating not to play. Good thing about the club is that there's so much communication. It's fine.
It's up to the coach.
It's up to the coach. That's all he had to say. If my son, Anthony, see how I've raised him with manners, bro.
Yeah.
You know, when people talk to you, talk to them nicely, you know, respond correctly, come from a good, loving home background. I've raised him right, you know. And you know, that is exactly what Maguire should have said. However, though, in his case, Elanga's case, it's we knew this would kind of happen for him, didn't we? Eventually, it's been really tough because I think a lot of hard work for him to get to the point to be in the first team fold. Firstly, you got to give him credit for, because kids like Kobe Mainoo, Zidane Iqbal, you know, Charlie McNeil was on the bench, etc., etc. You know, it is really, you have to be so good just to even get into first team training. That goes without saying. If you're in under 23s, don't mean you're going to make it at Man United, but it means you got something. It means
there's always something to prove, even if you do make it.
Correct. Yeah. So for him to even get into that position, great, fantastic. But I think a lot of things. So with his hard work, you also need a little bit of the rubber to green. And the rubber to green last year, which is at the detriment of the whole club because it was terrible. But Cavani, someone just put Cavani there, so it's in my head. Jadon Sancho was not at it. Marcus Rashford, look what happened there. And we had nobody else, you know. Hannibal was coming in as a young kid. And they really liked Elanga. Ralph really liked him as well. So he got a chance to play when really probably he shouldn't even been playing last season if everybody was doing what they should have done. And he took his little moment, didn't he? He took his chance. But there was always a sense of once, you know, some of our better players start performing at a high level. Marcus Rashford is the understatement of performing at a high level, but that was going to happen. Even when we got Anthony, that's another step in a different direction. And obviously Jadon, I can't even put him in that really because he still hasn't been great, but he's coming back from what he's coming back from. Then Bruno playing out on the right, etc., etc. He's fallen down the pecking order. So he's got to go and secure some football. And you just wonder whether it would be best for a permanent in the summer, probably. But maybe Eric might want to loan him one more time and see what happens, give him some consistent games in the Prem, maybe it's somewhere else. But I think in the long run, I still think we're gonna invest in that area, or people like Ahmad can come back and be ahead and get a chance. So I do think he needs to do what's best for himself, Elanga, because he hasn't been up to the level, has he?
It's all about momentum as well, isn't it? You know, last season he had momentum. I think almost to a detriment. He came in, or his breakthrough season was the worst season in Premier League history for Manchester United.
Exactly.
And because of that, when everyone raises back to their normal level, he kind of gets swallowed up because his level doesn't continue to go up. So I think what is best for him is to go out on loan. Maybe I don't think he'll be to a championship club. I think he's proven he can play in the Prem. But it might be a mid-table or, you know, a team lower down the table, something like that. And then, you know, see what he does. And then whether or not he really turns up trees, I doubt it. I think he'd have a decent season. And then you can maybe get a club to buy him for a decent price, a Premier League price. And then you sort of go from there. Because to your point, we're clearly going to be investing in that position, in the position that he's in. And the ultimate thing is, you know, when you go for an academy, or when you're playing youth football like he was, and then trying to progress into first team football, is you want to make a good career of it, and you want to be playing games. So you've seen it with people like Andreas Pereira. Sometimes, as Ten Hag says, you have to take a step backward to take some steps forward, and that could be the case for him, and it could see his career flourish. I mean, he's already representing his country, so that's certainly a start. So it's not as if there's nothing there for him.
That's what I'm saying. He's proved he's got something, 100%. It's just about getting that consistency and potentially finding a new home or finding some consistent game time. That's what it's going to be, you know.
Absolutely.
There you go, guys. That's your morning show, your morning view.
Some members chats you missed though.
Oh, let's go. Members chats. There you go. Jason says, big up to UV community. Remember, press that like button. And big up to you, Ramon. Jason, sorry. And Lux Hill says, lads, can we get a members live Q&A this week? It's been a minute. Yes, we will do that for you. Members live Q&A. We will 100% do that for you this week, Lux Hill, and the members as well. We've got over 400 members as well, which is insane. The members community has grown so quickly here at United View. it's a joke. So yeah, big up, a big love to everyone supporting the channel and joining the membership. And you can as well. The link is in the video description below if you'd like to join those 400 plus people in the United View.
I'll put a post out at some point, maybe on like Wednesday or something this week, saying get your questions in. So if you can't attend the live stream, your questions can still be answered. There you go.
Exactly. Yes, love that. And I'll be on there as well. So yeah, we shall make that happen.
Yeah.
What we got planned for the rest of the week? Well, obviously we're going to be across all of the takeover stuff. That goes without saying. But it's now the end of the international break. I think there's probably one more game. It's Monday today, isn't it? So the other teams might play today. We'll play today. But we'll be coming out of the international break very, very soon. And within the next couple of days, players start arriving back. And it all turns to Newcastle. A really tough game. We're going to have previews for that game, of course, with some Newcastle United content creators as well. Leading up to the big run-in. Leading up to the big run-in, man, where it's business end of the season. It's going to be exciting and nervy at the same time, because this is where you really don't want your hard work to be undone. You know, this is where seasons can be literally, you know, make or break, where you've put in a lot of work, but if you capitulate near the end, it all goes out the window. Or if you've had not the best of season, but you're in a position to fight for something, you can have an amazing season in the last 10 games. So this is it. This is it. Smash a like on the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, and we will see you all again very, very soon. Peace.